Good day everyone, this is Alvin again from the Philippines, and today we are going to talk about the future of the Philippines at Miss Grand International.
1, 2, 3, come on!
Now, before we talk about the future of Miss Philippines at Miss Grand International, let us first see the performances of the Philippines in the past years since the pageant started in 2013. Well, in 2013, Annalie Forbes finished as third runner-up, so that was a really strong start for the Philippines. In 2014, the Philippines didn't place well. That was really kind of expected. In 2015, Parul Shah finished as third runner-up. In 2016, Nicole Cordoves finished as first runner-up, and in 2017, Elizabeth Clancy finished as second runner-up. And then the doomsday happened in 2018 when Ava Patalinhog shockingly failed to place, and in 2019, Samantha Ashley Lowe failed to place, which resulted to a consecutive non-placement of the Philippines. Now, looking at the first 5 years of participation of the Philippines, it was actually a solid, strong performance. All runner-up finishes with the exception of 2014, but again, as what I've said earlier, it was kind of unexpected non-placement. We really thought that anytime soon, Philippines can finally take home the golden crown of Miss Grand International after all the successful runner-up finishes. But then again, 2018 happened when Ava Patalinhog was crowned as Binibining Pilipinas Grand International in 2018. The Philippines have high hopes, to be honest, including me, because she was one of the heavy favorites during the pageant, and it was indeed amazing to see one of the clear front runners represent the country in Miss Grand International, which means that was a really huge deal. I myself even thought that we could win with Ava Patalinhog. So during the pageant, we were all super thrilled at her performances, and down with the preliminary performance. Well, let's be honest, she was one of the most stunning candidates during the evening gown round, and a slip, I mean, is that really an issue? Because we have seen many slips before, and even in bigger pageants like Miss Universe, but many of them still got that placement. I mean, to be honest, I don't think a slip is a really huge deal, unless, of course, I mean, it's really based on how you carry yourself. But most of the ladies that we saw that slip handled themselves properly, gracefully, and they've just recovered beautifully. And as for Ava, she has recovered from it faster and still finished strongly, and even did that amazing turn. As a pageant follower myself, I didn't consider the slip a big deal. Her swimsuit was also one of the strongest, and if you watch her preliminary performances, I mean, those turns and footworks, flawless. I mean, that was so good. So for the interview as well, I have no doubts, because Ava was one of the strong speakers of batch 2018 of Binibining Pilipinas. That's why I mentioned, that's why she was in my final prediction. And when she wasn't called in the top 20, I can tell you, I was super shocked. I mean, my jaw literally jumped on the floor because I could not believe it. Ava wasn't really my winner. I have been very vocal about it, that my winner into my final two in 2018 was India and Paraguay. But Ava was in my top 20. If I remembered correctly, I think she was in my top 5 still. And even in most leaderboards, you have to be honest, she is even in your leaderboard, because we all know that she did super beautiful, and that performance is something that someone cannot ignore, because let's be honest, it's much better than majority of those performers in the preliminary. And many fans, and after that non-placement, I have to be honest, many fans actually moved on with her non-placement. We have already accepted that she didn't place, but most of the anger and hate towards the pageant were fueled by the statements released by the organization. I don't really need to mention some of it because if you have been a real pageant fan, you know this issue has really sparked a huge fire, which is why there is some disconnection with some Filipino fans towards the Miss Grand International. And in 2019, I am not sure how the Philippines would do in Miss Grand International after some shaky event in 2018 and in between. But I was still hopeful because the coronation of Samantha Ashley Lowe was quite surprising, especially going into MGI. She is not the type of candidate that I expected to go to Miss Grand International. But I myself, we ourselves, were all filled with hopes still, putting all the negativities behind us and moving forward with a hopeful mind. Her late arrival wasn't really an issue with me because there has been a statement online that she was welcomed warmly by the organization. So I was really feeling okay with that still. Now here comes the preliminary. When I saw her in her super fringy evening gown, I was scratching my head. I was very vocal that I was never a fan of that gown at all. It was too busy for me. It doesn't reflect her personality. I mean, it's really a huge no for me. Her walk wasn't polished. Her hand gestures were messy. And that sudden turn that she did was just too much for me. To be honest, I was watching her preliminaries and I was really disappointed because she's been hyped even before the pageant, and that's the performance that we got. I mean, if you remembered, I placed her very low in my prediction. To be honest, I almost did not include her. But the only reason why I include her, because of course, it's the Philippines. She could still pull a placement because she's a smart woman. She could have nailed that interview. But obviously, she didn't because she didn't make it. And don't get me wrong, I am still proud of her because she tried her best to represent the Philippines. But performance-wise, it was really unexpected non-placement. Now, what will be the future of the Philippines in Miss Grand International? I think it will just be like everybody else. We may get a placement, we may not. This is why I strongly believe that in order for us to do well in Miss Grand International again, the Philippines needs to do everything right, leaving no room for mistake. Well, 2019 was not really a good year, and let's just be honest about that. I don't know why others are still saying that she deserves the place, because honestly, I understand why she did not make it. And let's just assume that Ava's slip in 2018 was the reason why she did not place. Well, if the Philippines could send a stunning representative, well-polished, fully trained, no slips, great preliminary performance, I still believe that the organization will not ignore that. I am really on my hopeful side that Miss Grand International could still give the Philippines numerous placements, numerous runners-up finishes, and even a crown, provided the representative, whoever it is, whoever it may be, could deliver a flawless performance. I don't think the organization hates the Philippines or the representative of the Philippines, but sometimes we have to admit that simple mistake could really determine a placement from a non-placement. Binibining Pilipinas 2020 have a lot of great ladies competing this year, and probably even in the future editions we will still have strong batches. I don't want the woman to be crowned Miss Grand Philippines to represent and go to Miss Grand International to be afraid of not getting a placement because of some grudge issue or political issue. I don't want that. I want them to come into the pageant embracing it with so much hope and positivity, and that goal of getting a placement or a victory for the country. As a pageant fan myself and a follower, I mean, I don't know if you I don't know about you, but I love following Miss Grand International. As a pageant fan and a follower of Miss Grand International, generally speaking, Miss Grand International is one of the pageant that truly rewards the best performers of the pageant with a placement. And I believe if the Philippines could give them the performance that they wanted to see, we may be cheering for another placer or a possible winner very soon. If you just look at all the winners of Miss Grand International, they didn't just win because of political reason. They won because they performed, which is why I still believe that Miss Grand International still give the credit to the person who truly deserves it. We may have some favorites that didn't win, but of course we cannot argue that the winners that they crowned have also performed very, very strongly. So this is my thoughts about the future of the Philippines in Miss Grand International. Let's just keep a hopeful mind and a positive mind, and someday we will be seeing a Philippines being called once again in the finalists. So I'm really excited to know your thoughts about this. So don't forget to leave your comments below. Don't forget to give a thumbs up and share the video as well. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe because you'll be seeing more of these videos in the future. For now, thank you very much and have a wonderful day from the Philippines.